If you look for storytelling advice on YouTube, you'll find many folks who tell you that what drives a good story forward is conflict. But two of my favorite movies tell sweet, quiet stories without much conflict at all. Our Little Sister and Paterson. Our Little Sister tells the story of Suzu, a young woman who meets her three older sisters for the first time after their father dies, and accepts an invitation to move in with them in their home in the coastal city of Umamachi.
すずちゃん、鎌倉に来ない？え？
The movie is based on a manga called Umamachi Diary, and it plays like someone's memories of childhood. Very happy memories. And Paterson tells the story of a bus driver named Paterson who lives in Paterson, New Jersey, and who writes poetry that he doesn't share with anyone but his wife. It's a week in his life, and a story about his routine, his creative process. So, how do you tell a good story without conflict? Well, first, neither movie is entirely without conflict. Paterson has a bulldog in his home, Marvin, that he is not fond of, and Suzu takes time to feel welcome in her adopted family.
もう妹なんだからジャムつけないわよ。はい。
Also, various side characters have interpersonal issues they work through, but for the most part, people get along in these stories, and both movies feature protagonists who spend the bulk of the story watching and listening and finding things to love in the people and places that surround them, something their respective filmmakers represent in different ways. In Our Little Sister, the director Hirokazu Koreeda and the cinematographer Makiya Takimoto often put Suzu in the middle of the frame in a long shot or a medium long shot where we can see everything, watching and listening while the characters gathered around her go on about their days. The longer I sit with Suzu in these moments, the more I feel that I'm in the room alongside her. But Paterson's different. The director Jim Jarmusch, the cinematographer Frederick Elms, and the editor Alfonso Gonçalves show Paterson's point of view through reaction shots. Time and again, we watch characters talking, and then we cut to Paterson in a medium shot, which is from the waist up, or in a medium close-up, which is sort of from the shoulders up, as he listens with interest and usually fondness to the people around him. And I think these shot scales are worth thinking about because they each create a different sense of meaning. Where Suzu becomes a part of what she observes, Paterson seems more to internalize what he sees from a distance, all through shot scales and editing choices. Over the course of Our Little Sister, you can see Suzu blossom into happiness through a series of shifts in her behavior. At first, when Suzu hears her older sisters bickering, she expresses concern about their relationship. But a few months and a few scenes later, the filmmakers show her getting to know them better. When she sees her sisters bickering, she's not afraid anymore. She understands it's not serious. We see Suzu introduced to new people who, in time, become good friends, and see her transition from feeling awkward in her sister's house to showing extraordinary comfort in her new home. Again, it's not that there isn't conflict. It's just that the most significant moments of conflict aren't between characters, they're within them. Moments when characters hesitate.
お母さんのバカ！
They hesitate to accept love or to offer it. Hesitate to make themselves vulnerable and so deepen their relationships. And the movie emphasizes these moments of hesitation. Because the filmmaker spends so much time in long shots and medium long shots, watching characters from a distance, the moments when they cut in close carry a particular force. And many of these moments are moments when characters hesitate. You can see it on the faces of the actors. They hesitate when they want to speak but don't know how. And when they overcome that hesitation, they're rewarded for their courage.
Asano. Hmm? その浴衣結構似合ってるよ。
Paterson is about the many little variations that pop up within a strict routine, the chance encounters from which Paterson constructs meaning in his poetry. And my favorite scene in the movie is one of hesitation. Marvin has destroyed Paterson's notebook of poetry, his only copies, a potentially devastating experience, and Paterson has gone for a walk to clear his head, as he often does. And while at the park, he encounters a man, another poet, who engages him in a conversation about poetry. But when the man asks Paterson if he's a poet, Paterson says,
No.
I see.
I'm a bus driver myself. Just a bus driver.
And I think there's a sense in which Paterson isn't lying, but simply hesitating to imagine himself a poet, maybe because he keeps his poems to himself. And because the filmmaker spends so much of the time watching Paterson listen in medium shots and medium close-ups, moving farther away in the scene gives it a feeling of emphasis and hesitance about how to handle something so new. And look how the backdrop frames them in these little cells, divided from one another. When we do cut in, often it's to see characters thinking through their reactions, hesitating to do what exactly? I think to push their experiences in a new direction, to create a relationship that only a moment ago didn't exist.
I guess you really like poetry then.
The other man suggests that Paterson's life is poetic.
This is very poetic.
Well, I'm not so sure about that.
Yes.
Paterson overcomes a little hesitation to admit his interest in poetry.
I read that too. I like Frank O'Hara. The New York school.
Uh-huh.
And the other man seems to perceive that Paterson is no less a poet than he is. Before he leaves, the man provides Paterson with a gift, as if to say that Paterson is, despite his hesitations, very much a poet. Jarmusch has described the man offhand as an angel who swoops in to help Paterson at the end, and I think it's noteworthy that nearly everyone in the movie is a creator of some kind. There are actors, historians, poets of course, but also designers, rappers, and other connoisseurs of the English language. And the movie finds ways to encourage them. Often, Paterson is the one who does the encouraging.
Sorry, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I think it's something really interesting that you're working on. That's a beautiful poem.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
I painted them.
I like how all the circles are different.
And so, when Paterson hesitates to accept encouragement himself, but then decides to overcome that hesitation, he seems finally to embrace a grace and kindness, a form of love that he gives to so many throughout the movie. So how do you tell a good story that's not driven by conflict? Well, in the absence of conflict, a sense of growth will do. And these movies remind me, every time I watch them, that one way to grow is to overcome hesitation, to learn to accept love, every form of real love, when it's offered, and learn to accept that you deserve it.
行きます。
And who doesn't need to be reminded of that sometimes?